I want a new floor. I've got a photo here in Photoshop. I want to put a different floor in there to show my client what it might look like if we made these changes. Like pretty much everything else we're doing, we're effectively trying to visualize something and show somebody what it is that our bright ideas have come up with. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to go back to What Else Photoshop and take a look at this. Here's our beautiful little cottage. Um, I don't like the floor. It's painted plywood. I want to put something really cool in here, like maybe this hardwood. I've grabbed a piece of hardwood. I actually multiplied it a few times, made the canvas bigger. If you want, I'm happy to make a video about that. Let me know. But let's just kind of come back here and figure out how could we put a new floor in here, that hardwood that we made. What I want to do is use my polygonal lasso tool. The reason I'm using this tool out of the 8 different selection tools that we've got available to us is because polygonal lasso tool likes straight lines. And man, have I got a lot of straight lines here. So I'm just going to fairly quickly, hopefully it's not going to be too painful to watch me do this. I might not do a very good job because I don't want this video to end up taking the rest of your life. And there's lots of other stuff that I want to show you in here. But I'm just going to kind of quickly blast around here and see if I can't quickly grab this floor. A couple of things that are kind of handy. As you're working, tap your tab key and all your menus go away, unless you happen to be using the pen or the selection tool, in which case that won't work. So I'm just kind of quickly whip around here. This is not straight, this crazy shape back here. So what I would probably do if I were doing this for a real client and expecting to get paid, I would go back with my lasso tool and use Shift and Option to clean that up. Of course, it's Alt on a keyboard, on a PC. So there we go. I've now got that. Let's say I worked really hard. Let's say I did a great job. There's my tab. If I just turn that on and off, I can do that. So let's say I had done things like, really done a careful job around those chair legs and things like that. And I thought, man, that was work. If I click anywhere else with my selection tool right now, I'm going to lose this selection. I want to save it. So I come to my selection tool and say, save my selection. It will give me a new channel inside my floor.jpg document. I can call it something if I want to, or I can just leave it unnamed. So I'm going to leave it unnamed. It doesn't matter. You can decide. Just wanted to point out inside my channels menu, now I've got red, green, blue, the composite, the 3 color channels, and now I have a new one called Alpha 1, which is my new channel that I just saved. That's the selection of this floor. I'll show you in a minute why that's a really cool thing to have. So now I can come back here and say, I've got that. I'm ready to do this. I'm going to select all on this thing, copy that, come back here, and then when I go to paste, if I just paste it right now, it's going to go ahead, plop, paste. I don't want to just paste it in. I want to paste it into this selection. So I'm going to go paste special, paste into. And what that will do, there you go. It puts that JPEG, that flooring, onto inside my selection. You're all thinking, that looks like poo. You're absolutely right. But the beautiful thing is now I can edit this floor inside this photograph. What I'm going to do is use the free transform tool, Command T or Control T or edit free transform. I love that word, free. And I'm going to I roll over a corner. I can rotate this so I can get it standing up. If I hold down Shift, it'll snap it to vertical or horizontal. And now the coolest part of all is that I can then come back here and say, I want to make this look like it's at that same perspective. It's kind of, I can see it gets smaller as it gets farther away, the way perspective works. So that means I want to put this corner in this. I can move this thing like that and put it there, but it still looks like heck. So if you hold down your Command or your Control key and grab a corner, whoa, look at that, people. So what we got now is the ability to stretch this photo and make it fit the perspective of whatever it is that we're on. Now, this is pretty stretchy. I'm having to kind of squish the heck out of it in order to make it look like it belongs here. So I would probably do a more careful job with this if I expected to get paid. But you can see, you can get something that's pretty close. It's not too bad. So I'm having some fun fooling around with this thing. I would spend more time doing that. But man, have we got a limited time span or what? The other thing is you might say, well, that's cool. I just hit the return key to accept that particular transformation. The other thing is that it doesn't look really believable because it's kind of, I don't know, it's it's all kind of flat. It's the same color overall. So what I'd kind of like to do is go back in and change the way that this floor works against the stuff that's underneath it. I want to use, let me just shut this off for a second. You see what it does, by the way, it's made a mask of our selection, and we're looking at that floor through that mask. What I want to do, if I just turn that off for a second, you see what's going on here. I've got highlights and shadows and all kinds of stuff that make that floor look like it's believably there. I don't have any of that stuff on here. So what I want to do with this layer is say, I want this layer to be transparent to the floor that's underneath. I can use darken, I can use multiply. I'm going to use multiply, which at this point you probably think that's the wrong choice. But what I'm going to do then is lighten the background. Remember our selection? We've got a selection right back here. Load my selection. Layer 1.mask. No, I want my alpha 1 channel. Okay. So now what I can do is come back to my background layer, and I've got the floor selected. Let me just blow that up a little bit. And I can go to my image adjustments, levels or hue saturation. I'll probably play with levels because that gives me the control over how dark or light this whole thing is. What's going to happen is I'm going to lighten this entire thing. What I'm doing, I'm not lightening the wood, I'm lightening the floor underneath the wood. I've got the control over that. So I can decide how light or dark to make that. I can, of course, also then go, okay, cool. Now, if I switch up to my layer 1 menu, and I could also play with levels on this and decide I want to make my floor itself lighter. But you see what's happening? I'm using the lights and the shadows underneath this layer to control what's happening here. So now that's what the floor looks like by itself. That's what the new painted floor looks like underneath it. We've changed both the colors of both things. If I were going to get paid for this, I would have done a more careful job, but I hope that makes sense for you. Command D, deselect, and I don't know, that looks kind of promising. I hope you feel the same way. I will happily take a look at what you had a chance to do later on. So long.